You've heard it before. Maybe it was your boss complaining about hiring struggles, an out-of-touch executive blaming lazy kids, or a relative at Thanksgiving ranting about how nobody wants to work anymore. But is that really the case? Are people truly avoiding work? Or is there something bigger going on? Let's break it down. The U.S. unemployment rate is at historic lows, which would mean that getting a job is easier than ever. Yet, labor force participation, especially among younger workers and men, is declining. If jobs are available, why aren't people taking them? Some blame laziness, saying young workers just want to sit at home streaming TV and trading crypto. Others argue that people are sick of dead-end, underpaid jobs that don't offer decent quality of life. So, which side is right? Or is the reality more complicated than either group is willing to admit? Today, we're diving into the truth behind the phrase, "nobody wants to work anymore." We'll explore the real reasons why businesses are struggling to fill jobs, how economic shifts are reshaping the workforce, and why the expectations of employers and workers are more misaligned than ever before. By the end, you'll see that it's not that people don't want to work, they just can't afford to in the way they used to. Let's get into it. Why are jobs going unfilled? If you walk into a restaurant, retail store, or even a manufacturing plant, you'll likely see "help wanted" signs plastered on the doors. Businesses across industries are struggling to hire workers. Some employers say it's because people today just don't want to work hard. But there's a big difference between not wanting to work and not wanting to work for unfair wages, in toxic environments, or in jobs that no longer provide stability. The jobs that remain unfilled typically fall into three categories. 1. Jobs that pay too little. A hotel in downtown Chicago recently put out a job listing for a night receptionist. The job required fluency in 2 languages, at least 5 years of experience, and availability for weekend shifts. The pay? $15 an hour. Unsurprisingly, nobody applied. Many businesses set unrealistic expectations, offering wages that don't match the cost of living or skill requirements. It's not just in hospitality. Plenty of tech companies expect programmers to work for entry-level salaries despite the skyrocketing cost of education. But let's be fair, there are also unrealistic expectations on the worker side. A survey found that many Gen Z workers expect a 6-figure salary right out of college, which simply isn't the reality for most industries. Social media makes it look like everyone is driving luxury cars and working remotely from Bali, but in truth, very few jobs actually offer that lifestyle. One of the biggest reasons people don't want to work for low pay is simple. The cost of living has skyrocketed, but wages haven't kept up. Rent, groceries, and gas prices have all gone way up in the past few years. Meanwhile, many jobs are still paying the same wages they did 10 or 20 years ago. A minimum wage job used to be enough to survive, but now, in most cities, it won't even cover rent. The issue isn't that nobody wants to work, it's that workers and employers are completely misaligned on what a fair salary looks like. People aren't lazy. They just don't see the point of putting in so much effort for so little reward. 2. Jobs with toxic work environments. Ever had a boss who thought yelling was a leadership skill? Or being in a job where you were expected to stay late every night without extra pay? In a recent workplace survey, the average full-time employee reported working 9.5 hours of unpaid overtime per week. That's more than an entire extra day of work, for free. Some industries are notorious for overworking employees. A young law associate in New York recently revealed that her firm expects her to bill 80 hours a week, meaning she's working closer to 100 hours with all the extra paperwork. Despite making 6 figures, she's so burnt out that she's considering quitting without another job lined up. For years, people believed that hard work was a key to success. But now, many are realizing that working hard at a toxic job isn't worth it. People are beginning to prioritize their well-being instead of staying in stressful jobs. At the end of the day, people just want to be respected, paid fairly, and treated like human beings. That's not too much to ask, right? The truth is, people still want to work, but they want jobs that treat them fairly. No one wants to waste their life being overworked, underpaid, and unappreciated. They don't want a job that destroys their mental and physical health. 3. Jobs that don't actually exist. Here's something you might not know. Many of those job listings you see online, they aren't real. Companies often post ghost jobs, positions they don't actually intend to fill. Some do it to collect resumes for future hiring needs. Others do it to make it seem like they're expanding, boosting investor confidence. Some are just legally required to post jobs even if they already have an internal candidate. So, if you ever sent out hundreds of job applications and only heard silence, it might not be you. It might just be that the job was never real to begin with. Is the labor force shrinking? If fewer people are working, is that because they don't want to work? Or is it because they can't find work that makes sense for them? Let's look at the numbers. 1. Older workers are retiring early. In the past, many workers stayed employed past 60, especially in office jobs that weren't physically demanding. But after the COVID-19 pandemic, millions of workers over 55 took early retirement. Why? They got buyouts. Many companies encouraged older workers to retire early to cut costs. They had financial security. Strong stock markets and rising home values gave many workers the ability to leave. They didn't want to go back to the office. Remote work let them see what life was like without long commutes and stressful meetings. If the baby boomer generation is leaving the workforce, that naturally brings down participation rates. 2. Young people are staying in school longer. More people than ever are getting college degrees, and not just bachelor's degrees. The number of master's and PhD students has skyrocketed. Why? Because for many, it feels safer than entering the brutal job market. A recent post from a top university professor went viral after he revealed that even his best students were struggling to get jobs. In industries like technology and finance, entry-level positions that once led to high salaries have disappeared or become ultra-competitive. Many young people feel like their best option is to stay in school longer and hope the job market improves later. But this delays their entry into the workforce, making participation rates look worse than they actually are. 3. Location matters. A lot. Labor force participation isn't just about age, it's about where people live. Take rural areas and former industrial towns. When coal mines and factories shut down, jobs didn't just move, they disappeared. If you live in a small town where all the major employers have closed, your options are: move to a big city where the cost of living is astronomical. Take a low-paying local job, which might not cover your bills. Try to make money online, which can be risky and unreliable. A study found that in places like West Virginia, some counties have a labor force participation rate of just 42%, while others are as high as 77%. The difference? Access to jobs. Many people in economically struggling areas want to work, but moving for work isn't always financially possible. So, do people really not want to work? The truth is, people are working, they're just doing it differently. Older workers are retiring earlier. Young workers are staying in school longer. Many jobs simply don't pay enough to justify the cost of living. And the biggest takeaway, the phrase, "nobody wants to work anymore," is misleading. It's not that people don't want to work. It's that the modern economy doesn't make it easy to work in the ways that used to be possible. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't and share this video. See you in the next one.